So I am the incompetent. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Rachel. I am a knitter, crocheter, mom, and a teacher. And I love to film videos of myself talking about my current projects as well as potential projects and some acquisitions. Sometimes I will share out what I'm reading, watching, actually what I'm doing professionally as well, because I don't have a large knitting community or crochet community. And so I use YouTube University in order to form my own. So if you are interested, please stay tuned and hey, let's talk about my current knitting rambles because they might be yours. So to start off with these particular videos, it's really random. I don't have like an exact formula because I want it to feel like we're having an exchange with each other. And so let me start off with saying, so I filmed this already. I did this and I was going on another screen to see the name of a pattern that I wanted to talk about. And naturally, I accidentally deleted it. So because I am so tech savvy, let's hope that I can do a much better job today in sharing with you about my current whips, no finished objects, and what my future plans are as well. So if you're interested, as I said before, please sit, drink a little something, and listen to me share with you all these details. So first things first, I wanted to talk about is my nearly finished object, the home camisole. Voila. So details I wanted to share about this current project is that it was sitting in hibernation for a little bit of a minute, and then I got inspired, I should say, and decided to pick it up and keep working. And I'm pretty much done. I'm supposed to do some type of border for the neckline as well as underarms. But honestly, I really like the way it is. I'd rather just sew in a hem and call it a day. And the more I look at it, I'm like, you should do the pattern the way you want to do it. And that's what I want. I really like this roll over edge that it has to it. And I like how it like turns into itself. So I'm going to do that and call it a day because anything else I would add to it might just take away from some of the features I like about it. However, one thing that I am so mad about myself. So look at this yarn. Very pretty, right? This is a hand-dyed yarn by Threads. It's Threads by Megan. So this is a independent hand dyer who makes these beautiful yarns. Let me see if I can find one. I reach back. I got one. Here's an example. So Threads by MeghanNicole. In this particular colorway in my hands, it's called Rainbow Bright. She has such beautiful, soft, luxurious yarn. Absolutely love it. I did not love knitting with this, not because of anything that she did. I think it was the Stenlina. I never knitted with this particular type of material before. I'm trying to see if I have another version of it nearby. I think I do. I think the skein of it is, nope, I thought I did. But it's my first time ever knitting with something like that, and it gave it a little bit of a grippy plastic feel, which is why I had to whip out my new needles. Oh, here they are. That I bought from Temu. They had some cute little red knitting needles that came in a package, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. It was only $30, and they're the same red lace cable as Chagu, same join as well. And I'm like, oh, dope. If I end up hating them, I can still use the extra cables or whatnot. But I didn't hate them. What it did end up doing with these, not that you wanted to get a knitting review, but here you go. What I did end up doing was taking some lotion, and I went ahead and rubbed it onto the knitting needles, and then I wiped it off, and then I added some what is it? Oh, I added a little oil to it. So I did lotion, I wiped off, oil, and then my fingers naturally absorbed it. And I found that I was able to manipulate the materials much better. Now I know that there was a potential harm by doing that. I could potentially, sorry, I'm moving around so much. I could have ruined the yarn that I was interacting with. So it's not something I would do commonly, but I do wet balk everything that I knit or crochet with. So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't as concerned. But nevertheless, no damage was done to the garment. It came out just fine. And what I like so much about this particular yarn is that it is naturally self-striping, but also variegated at the same time. So as you can see here at the top, this is all the yarn. But then I realized that the pattern called for the size I was doing, it called for almost 600, no, was it 600, a little over 520, I think it was 528 yards that I needed for my size, give or take. And I had 427 with the yarn, and then I had 87 with this, and then 87 with that. So I'm like, I can do this. I can totally use those two yarns and do helical knitting. So although you may not be able to tell, this red, it was a very close color to the original skein of yarn. And I'm like, oh, it's perfect. Same thing with this black. It was almost original color. And I wanted to use something with those two skeins of yarn, or mini skeins, because they were just sitting in my collection, just gathering dust, and I needed to do something with it. So long story short, I ended up doing helical knitting with it, and because my hand had developed some fingers, so I developed some pain in my index finger, as well as some pain in my neck and back and shoulders, as I've been dealing with for the last year. I decided to switch over to Norwegian style of knitting. I watched Arnie and Carlos a few times and finally figured out how to tension my yarn in my left hand so I can successfully stockinette in a round. I cannot purl yet. I've tried a few times with purl and something about it gets caught. I will have to watch their video about purling again, and maybe it will finally click. I watched it like 7 or 8 times and it still hasn't clicked in my head, but the knitting part has definitely clicked, but I can't seem to get the purling piece. So what I've been doing with the shawl is knitting with my left hand and purling with my right hand, and that's been working. Now, granted, I just started that today. I have made 0 progress with that particular shawl since I've last did a video, so I'm not going to even bring it out. There is literally nothing to see. It looks the exact same because it was way too hot. We had a little bit of a heat wave, and then we were traveling. I've been on a little mini work slash family vacation. And so I just did not want to bring such a large project with me on the road. And so when I say on the road, I meant the ferry. So what I did was on the drive to the ferry, I worked on my shawl. And then once we got to our hotel, I just worked on my camisole and my socks, which I'll show you in a minute. So my home camisole is nearly finished. I have to do I'm going to wet block it tonight, and then I'm going to sew in my ends. And if I really don't like the way it looks, I might sew in some of my ends before I wet block it. But anywho, if I don't like the way it looks, I'm just going to go ahead and then add an additional border. There's the word, an additional border to the camisole. But and if it's still too short for me, which I think it will be, because the pattern for my size calls for an 11.5 inches from the underarm, and I know I have 11. So I'm like, I may need to find a lovely person who would enjoy wearing this particular garment. And I already have one person in mind who this would look absolutely gorgeous on because of her skin tone. Oh my goodness, she would look stunning in this. So more I think about it, more I'm like, I think I might be giving this away. But what I love so much about it is that it's just so pretty. It's really pretty. It makes me want to knit another, and which I will. I actually really enjoyed working on that project. I didn't think I would, because I had no interest in knitting a summer top. I didn't see until I started working on that. I didn't see the point of it, but now I do, especially if you're using a lightweight yarn. You can definitely do it. And prior to working on that, I tend to gravitate more towards DK and worsted, and so that's partly one of the reasons why I never could conceptualize using a fingering cotton weight yarn or a fingering lightweight merino, even merino, for a summer garment. But now I know. And so I'm glad to know about that. So very happy about that. I'm enjoying working on that and cannot wait to get that finished and take pictures and show what that looks like on my Instagram as well as on my phone, because I like to look at my old projects. And it's also on my Ravelry page. You'll be able to see it there too. So in addition to working on that over the weekend, over the week, I went to the beach, and I didn't want to bring that with me to the beach because I was just having a moment of frustration, because by that point I was helical knitting with this red yarn. So I bought my socks, and I have a book called The Sock Project by Summer Lee. The Sock Project by Summer Lee. It is a beautiful color colorful, very colorful, bright book that just celebrates the joy of sock knitting, showing you a variety of different ways that you can really liven up your sock projects, where you can do color work, you can do cabling, you could do lace. It's just a ridiculous amount of different projects in there. There's 25 patterns, but there's even more potential patterns that you can make if you once you learn your formula. And when I say formula, like how long you want your foot, what type of toe you want to do, what type of heel. So for me, for example, I prefer the shadow wrap heel. I like the way it fits, and I just prefer it. Whereas the heel flap, I have done that. I found success with it. It definitely fits my foot as well, but I don't enjoy knitting it. The process of doing it is very boring to me. Whereas the shadow rack, I'm engaged the entire time. So anywho, with that said, I'm working on this. Let me bring it a little closer. As you can see, it has small little cabling, and this is my first time doing cabling on socks because 2024 is a year of cables. So far, I have made an all-over cable sweater, and I am now making a all-over cable sock, and I hope to make a cable shawl, a cable vest, and another cable sweater, and hopefully a cable cardigan, all before the end of the year. And it's only August, so that's totally possible, right? Okay, so anyway, my socks are coming along. I'm enjoying it. I'm using, let me see, it's Lang. Yep, Lang, I want to say Jawall. There we go. I'll let y'all decide. I hope that's not backwards on your camera, but if it is, I will type it in the show notes. But it's a 70% superwash and 20%, 25%, 75%, 25%. So 75 superwash, 25% nylon. It's only 50 grams, and it's 210 meters. And for me, it's not enough. The same thing happened with the last pair of socks that I got from this particular brand. And although I love the color, it's not enough. And my other frustration that I had with this is that I decided to break this into, let me just pull it out the back. I broke it into 2 balls because I wanted to do 2 at a time. And then I realized that I can't do 2 at a time because I'm just not the best, cabling and socks. So it's okay to take my time, and I'd rather take my time and get it right. But anywho, did in 2 balls, and I measured them exactly, and I decided to do, instead of doing it 2 at a time, what I will do is do a little color work action. So in addition to the cables, I'm going to add a little color work to it. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I don't stab myself next time I go into this bag. This is my sock bag. This is my favorite little tote to use for my sock knitting. It fits perfectly in my work bag, and a whole 2 pairs of socks can fit in there without a problem. But anywho, as you can see, I did a gray cast on, and then I have a green, and then a little stripe of gray, and then I went straight into the green. And I think when I do the second one, I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do the gray cast on, then 2 green, 2 gray, and then go right into the pattern. Instead, I did 1, and it doesn't look as clean as I thought it would. It looks a little messy, which is okay. But I will, for the second sock, do 2 because I think that would be better. So I'm happy about that. But to break this into 2, break this into half, where it's 25 grams on each one, I use my scale, and I put the yarn on the scale, and then I wound it up using that. No, I actually couldn't use that because the yarn kept getting tangled. So couldn't even do that. So I kept it on the scale, and I did my thumb, and I rounded on my thumb until it got to 25, and then I'd stopped, and then I did the same, and I did the other ball and I weighed again just to make sure that they were of equal weight or nearly equal weight, because when I weighed the second time, one said 26 and the other one said 24. So it's okay. It's very close with that as well. So the one that's 26 is the one I'm not using right now, and that's the one I will have the 2 rows of gray. So we'll see how it comes out. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the sock pattern is called the Seafarer. As I mentioned before, it's one of the mini pattern that's in the sock project by Sewralla. So I highly recommend you should check it out. My goal is to always work on this. My socks are typically something on the go. So when I have doctor's appointments, or while I'm waiting on one of my kids to do whatever it is that they're doing, that's my go-to. And what I love so much about this pattern that I immediately memorized it. And on top of that, I found the book on Libby. And so although I have the physical copy at home, I don't always want to bring that with me. And clearly it's not going to fit in my little pouch. So what I did was I downloaded it to my Kindle from Libby, and so that way while I was traveling, I can have access to it. And right now it's on a high queue for it. And there's usually with my Libby, I noticed that when I download books, I get about 16 days instead of 14 days. I don't know, maybe it was just that one particular book where I felt like I had 2 extra days to it. But anywho, I can always just take a picture of the pattern with my phone from the book, and so I can have it with me when I'm on the go and I'm working on the project. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to keep working on it. I plan on working on it some more. Probably spend quality time on it, not this coming week, but the week after. The week of, not that you care. You don't care when I'm going to do that. Someone say that. But anywho, going to work on that. So those are my two active whips. The shawl will become an active whip as soon as I finish doing the finishing details with that. My hope is that to finish the shawl first before I cast on any other project. So I know I initiated the Arctic sweater and I initiated the, oh my goodness, what is the name of that vest? It's a vest by Hoagie Locatelli. I'm not gonna touch my computer because the last time I touched my computer, I ended up deleting this whole conversation I'm having with all of you. So let me bring it up as I'm doing that. Let me do. Okay, so the vest is called the Emery Vest and Pullover. It's a pattern by Hoagie Locatelli. I mentioned it before. One of the things I gravitated to it, or gravitated towards it because it's worsted weight, so I know it's going to work up quickly. And I have about 500 or 600 yards of yarn in wool folk, as well as some French yarn that I really don't like, and I don't want to make a vest in it, and I need to just stop trying to pretend like I want to make anything with it. But anywho, as I was saying, with this particular pattern, which makes it so amazing and why Hoagie Locatelli is one of my favorite designers, is because usually when a pattern comes out and there's a vest, if there's the same exact design, same exact whatever you want to say, the designer will publish a second one for the same price as the original. And it's like, why do that? You know, I want to do both of them. And that was one of my gripes that I had with Andrea Mowry. Like, I really like her patterns. I cannot say enough about how much I love my DRK Everyday Sweater. She's a brilliant designer. Appreciate her so much. However, her tessellated vest and the tessellated sweater were the exact same thing. The gauge was the same. The cast-on was the same. So for the love of goodness sake, why not just publish them all as one? At least publish it as like a $12 pattern where you're getting two for $6. But she didn't do that. They both were either $8 or $9. I think it was $9 because that's how much her patterns are, because her socks are $8. But anyway, it was $9. So I spent $18 on two patterns when I wanted just the vest. I thought I wanted the pullover. I didn't. But anyway, with that said, with the Emery vest, that is my next go-to pattern. However, with the Arctic Light sweater as well as the Emery vest, it will require me to read carefully with the pattern. And I sincerely just don't want to be forced to sit in this beautiful, but my favorite room in the whole wide world the whole time, because we still are on summer break and I still want to do, interactive things with my kids, although right now we're all isolated because we just came back from vacation. And I don't know if your family's anything like mine, but I feel like once we hit day 5 of a vacation, that's when we start, just nitpicking with each other. We were in one room, which was actually fairly large. We've been in smaller hotel rooms before, but we were in one room and it was going fine because we had a balcony, so the boys could go on the balcony and play. The hotel also had a rec room, so the boys could go downstairs in the rec room and play. They had a beautiful porch in the front of the hotel that had multiple chairs and seating. It was a perfect place to lounge, which is where I tended to go towards, where I could just sit and knit or read or do some work on my computer. So there were plenty of spaces for where all of us could just kind of disperse when we were getting under each other's skin. But even with all those particular options, we still struggled a little bit. And I noticed at day 5, I was like, ooh, maybe we'll miss it this year. And sure enough, my husband woke up the first one as he was nitpicking. Then my 7-year-old snapped at him. And then my 10-year-old snapped at him. And I would just listen to the 3 of them bicker with each other. I was like, ooh, goodness. I'm like, y'all can't be in the same space for more than 5 days. What is this? But anyway, we had a good time. We were in Martha's Vineyard. We had a good time, but it was just funny. Like, hit day 5, that's when people were just like, I'm ready to go home. But we survived. We did two extra days, and we came back home. But the second we got into the house, after I made everyone unpack and just get situated, everyone is literally in different rooms. My husband is downstairs. I'm in here. The kids are in two different spaces too. So it is what it is. But and I think it's safe to say that it will probably be like this for the rest of the weekend, which is fine because that means more knitting time for me. So my fingers are crossed that people are still feeling they're full of one another, where I'm not going to get like, let's watch a family movie. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because if I had to say, oh, okay, that means I had to switch which pattern I'm working on. I would have to work on my my shorts. And so I'm also, I cast on, I have done nothing on this. I did one round literally of this, and the shorts are called the Jog On shorts. I absolutely love them. I think they're going to be fun to knit and to wear. The little context around these shorts, it was in May and it was a little warm out, and I'm like, gosh, where's my favorite pair of lounge shorts? I couldn't find them. At least I thought I couldn't. So I found this pattern after spending some quality time on the internet, and I found this pattern. I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I'm like, but what yarn? Because this calls for worsted weight. And I looked at my collection and I remembered my Lion Brand yarn. And so I had this Lion Brand Cotton Blossom, I think it was called. Yeah, I think it's called a cotton cake. Anywho, very pretty. It's a 50% cotton, 50% acrylic, and I thought it would be great. And so I went ahead and cast on, and that was it. I cast on and knit one round, and I got distracted by a test knit, and then another test knit, and then another pattern, and I haven't picked it up. So I had cast on in May. And when I say I haven't done anything, I haven't done anything. Haven't even made a Ravelry project page for it yet. So I think that's going to become my new social knit. It's either that or the socks. I don't think the socks will be good for like family meetings or family movie time, because it's just nearly impossible for me to engage with the movie while doing cabling. I tried it in the past and I end up messing up, but I can do it by myself. So in the way I'm doing my cabling, I'm doing without a cable needle. So I'm really excited about working on those shorts. So I think what's going to become my next social knit will be the Jog On shorts, using my Michael's cotton cake yarn that I got. That's the 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. So that's my second project that I'm hoping to focus on. The third project that I'm hoping to focus on is, how can I say this, is one that gave me pause. So as I mentioned on this before, I teach AP African American Studies, and I am in love with so many of the sources that we have to use in order to teach our students about the American experience through the Black lens. And one of the sources is a quilt. And so it's a red and cream quilt that is actually was on display. I don't know if it still is, but it was on display at the Smithsonian Museum in DC, dedicated to African American history. And what I love so much about it is that this quilt just tells so many different stories. And then when you do further investigations, you learn about the intricacies, about the patterns used. Not only did it highlight the African diaspora and how these individuals are bringing their prior knowledge and tradition of using geometric shapes in order to express their culture. But it's also used in order to express how to self-liberate. It's also used to express how to deal with current situations, or how to express beauty from the lens of this particular quilter. There's so many different stories. So you learn this when you're in different museums. The Legacy Museum has a whole exhibit it did 2 years ago, but it had a whole exhibit dedicated to the art of quilting by enslaved women, as well as self-liberated women and liberated women. So with that said, I love teaching this particular lesson because I am a knitter and crocheter, and I love bringing in crafts because we are not well represented in this community, even though we love doing it as well. So when so just to give you context, so this was all in my head while I was perusing through, and I say the back of my head, it was in the front, as I was scrolling through Ravelry, as I always do, waiting, anticipating Andrea Mowry's Rhinebeck sweater, because last year her Rhinebeck sweater was a tessellated pullover slash vest, and unfortunately I did not finish it in time to wear to Rhinebeck. And so this year my goal is I want to knit the current Rhinebeck sweater and finish it in time to wear to Rhinebeck, because I never had an opportunity to. I just want to join in fun, I want to be in a big group shot and have a good time. So anywho, and then wear my tessellated vest the day before, because duh. But anywho, that's my plan. And so I've been going back and forth with myself about it, saying like, oh, maybe I should just do the throw over, because the throw over or the throwback, one of the two, was another Rhinebeck sweater from years ago. And I'm like, I could do that. I don't have to worry about everyone wearing it, call it a day. Then I was thinking like, well, you can just do, what is it? The Illuminate sweater, which was never a Rhinebeck, but it's still a really great mosaic. No, it's not mosaic. It's another form of color work. But then I had to remember, like, why were you gravitated towards this quilted frame sweater? And the reason why is because of your love for your work. Because for me, I could just totally envision myself wearing this particular pullover while teaching my students about quilting at the time of chattel slavery in the United States. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how much fun would that be? And then not only would we learn about this, then I can teach them how to do quilting squares. I'm not very strong at it at all. Like, I've done very limited things, but there's kits, and I have some leftover kits from when I did a similar activity with teachers who I was teaching how to teach AP AFAM. And so I'm like, I can do it with my students. And while wearing this, so I'm like, think about how exciting that would be to engage with that, because with that particular lesson, students learn about David Drake, David the Potter, what he should be known as, because anyway, I'm not going to go down there. I'm not doing a history lesson. But anyway, I really wanted to like integrate my love and my passion into the class, because I want my students to see that they can integrate their love and passion into the class too. And I'm like, oh, so maybe I will do frame. So I was all set. I bought the pattern. I went through my yarn collection. I had recently acquired yarn from Needles at the Ready from their trunk show. I pick up every stitch. This beautiful purple yarn, because I'm a purple queen, want to wear it. Still have not worked up the nerve to make it all over purple sweater. That's my goal, right? So had this whole thing. I even did a swatch for the pattern too. Like, that's how like committed I am to it. So it was all set, ready to cast on. And for some odd reason, I went on Circle of Stitches, which is a local yarn store that has an online platform where you can purchase yarn there too. Again, I was just browsing. Wasn't planning on doing anything. I think one of the reasons why I was browsing is that one of the colors that I had planned to include in the sweater, I only had like maybe 20 grams of it, and I was hoping that they had another hank of it, and I can buy it and then add that to the pattern, because I don't want to do the crop version of the pattern. I plan on doing a full length sweater, because I want it to go past my weights. I don't like wearing crop sweaters if I can avoid it. Anyway, so I went ahead and went on there looking for that, and instead found out that they have an exclusive colorway. The exclusive colorway is in a color purple. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to buy it. So I was trying to buy 3 skeins, but it wouldn't let me. And it only I was like, oh, you know what? It's not worth it. As I was trying to close out of this, I swear, I was trying to close out of it. I ended up purchasing the 1 skein. And I was like, oh no. I was like, oh, well, I'll have it. And I could still integrate it into the pattern, because maybe that will be that extra skein I was looking at. Like, I found a broadside to it, right? So I'm like all jazzed about it. I'm like, I can make it work. Then I get an email from the store owner about maybe the day or so later, saying that there's unfortunately that the scheme wasn't available, and that there was just misinformation on the internet, and that they're ordering more in, and they should have it in by next week. So next week being this past week that just passed, so the first week of August. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, actually, can I have a total of 3 instead of 1? And she was like, yes, sure, you can do that. I was like, cool, give me 3. So I ordered the 3, and they were supposed to be here today. They're not. So I emailed, I called the shop about 4 times. Yeah, I called this shop about 4 times, never got through. Sent an email, still didn't get a response. So I'm just going to have to wait until the yarn either arrives at my home or till she responds. Because the reason why I called and sent an email was with hopes that I can just go there and pick it up. Salem is not too far from where I lived, and to be honest with you, the only reason why I was going to have it delivered was because I wanted it here by the time I got back, because my hope was that I was going to have my shawl finished. But the reality is I cannot start another color work pattern until I finish the Artus shawl, because I noticed when I was trying to work on the shawl as well as doing the swatch, I was getting myself mixed up with the, I don't, when I say mixed up, I don't know, I just wasn't as engaged with both patterns the way I really want to, because I want it to come out nice. So I'm going to do myself a favor and wait till I finish the shawl, and then I will cast on frame, because let me tell you what also happened on Ravelry. Ravelry can play some tricks on you or whatnot. I don't know how many of you have gone down this rabbit hole. So our lovely friend on Ravelry, they always, you know how they have the hot right now. And so every morning when I wake up, I look to see what's hot right now. I know I don't need to. I have plenty of patterns. I have so many patterns I haven't even touched in terms of like knitting. So anywho, I was like, no, don't look. But you got to. I'm addicted. So I'm looking. It's like my Instagram. So I'm looking and I'm scrolling through. And what do you know? There's this beautiful pattern called Paulie cardigan. Look at that. So if you are familiar with Andrea and Mowry's 2 recent Ryback sweaters, you can understand why I might pause with this. Let me look a little closer. You see? Look at this. Now, this pattern, let me just tell you about it. Let me give you some details. So first detail that stood out to me immediately when I looked at page 2 of the pattern, I was like, wait a second, those faces look familiar. These are the same faces that are on Andrea and Mowry's page. So let me bring this up. So I'm like, okay, this maybe I'm just seeing things. So I noticed that on Andrea and Mowry's page, she uses Spin Cycle and Spinster Daughter Worsted. And I noticed on this particular Amy, because this is by, what is her name, the designer's name? Amy Christoffers. I think that's Christoffers. I might be saying incorrectly, but she also used Spin Cycle Dream State and the Spinster Daughters on worsted. And I'm like, interesting. So you both use the exact same yarn in the same weight. This is 20, for this particular gauge is 20 stitches in 40 rows for every 4 inches. And for Andrea and Mowry's pattern, it is 21 stitches and 24 rows for every 4 inches. Now, I know that with Amy Christoff, I don't know what it is about her patterns from what I've heard. I haven't had a chance to do the pressed flowers, but from what I've been told by other knitters who have done this, because it's me, I email people because they should talk to me, right? But I've emailed people inquiries about their experience knitting the the pressed flowers item, because I want to do this, but I've never done it. Looks a very intricate pattern, so I wanted to find out like what were some tips and tricks that worked for them. And one of the people who emailed me back, actually was 2, and then I heard it later on a podcast. I'm like, okay, it's not just these one-offs. It was the fact that the gauge did not match, and so the designer called for one gauge and then the actual outcome was something different. And another issue was that some of the directions weren't as clear. So that gave me hesitancy about doing the cardigan, which is why I'm doing the cowl. I was going to do the pressed flowers cowl, and if I had a pleasant experience with that, then I would go ahead and venture into the other ones, because I really like that particular pattern. But I gravitated immediately to this, but because this is the combination of both my rhinebacks. It has a tessellated experience, because the tessellated sweater was mosaic. It was a slip stitch pattern, and with the quilt. So I mean, like, come on. And the frame is, as you can see, a quilted pattern. So I don't need another cardigan at all, but I kind of want to make a cardigan because it's been a while. So here is frame. Now, the only thing I don't like about the frame sweater is the shoulders. I don't like the shoulders at all, which is why initially I was thinking about doing this from top down, using the DRK everyday pattern for it, which I'm still strongly considering doing, because it looks like I can just pick up and knit the whole entire pattern from that, because the way the bottom starts, it looks like it starts at the same way it finishes. And so I'm like, why not I do that? And I'm leaning more towards that, just do the cast on for that. The gauge is almost is similar where I can make it work. So that's where I'm at right now with that, where I'm on the fence of knitting both. I've really, really, really liked the cardigan that Amy Christoffers, whatever how you say her last name, put together for the Paulie cardigan. However, it was a frame sweater that reeled me in first, and I granted it come out first. And one thing I did like about the frame, it's a little bit more than the cardigan, is that it's an all over quilt, and that really resonated with me. I never done anything like that, whereas the frame the Paulie cardigan is just that's one particular section. So I think I'm going to put a pin in a Paulie cardigan. It is going on my queue. I am definitely going to make it. In the worst case scenario, and this has happened to me before, if I end up having an unfortunate experience with this particular pattern, I'll just go ahead and do the Paulie cardigan. Now, here's another similarity. I just wanted to put out there for you. With the Paulie cardigan, it's also bottom up. It's not top down. See, if it was top down, I would be buying it like right now. But I was reading it, and it's bottom up. But when I'm looking at the cardigan, it looks like it's a raglan shaped cardigan. That you're doing bottom up raglan, which I heard fits your body better. And looking at the pictures of the testers, I think it might. Like here's another. You don't need to see what other yarn I was looking at. Yeah, see, it is definitely raglan shape, which is what one of the reasons why I was hesitant about doing frame, because I really like the way raglan shape yarn or raglan shapes look on me. I think so. We'll see about that one. I don't have to make a decision anytime soon, because A, I don't have the yarn, and B, I genuinely 100% can totally make the Paulie cardigan with any of the yarn in this room at any given time. It's just really just sitting out and getting it done. So there's no like urgency behind it either. Plus, I had such a bad cardigan experience recently. I did a test, and I shouldn't say bad. I'm exaggerating. I already shared with you all about my test knit, how it didn't go as well as I was hoping with it. And so I would like to cast on another cardigan, but I'm also itching for another pullover too. So we'll see. And then with the other items that I have on my list, I want to make sure I'm knitting something I can see in my wardrobe. And both garments I can see in my wardrobe, whereas the quilted one, I just feel like it just will have more of a story. So I don't know. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm hoping to chat with one of my knitting friends and see what she's doing. She's actually knitting frame, and she said it's like working up super quickly and she's enjoying it. So that is not helping. Let's just put it that way. That is not helping. Her wonderful experience is making me go like, I just want to do frame now, because I can totally see it, especially once I get my spin cycle yarn. I can use my needles at the ready purple. I would do that in purple, do the framing of that, go ahead and do it bottom up and just suck it up and do it, because it is what it is, but just knit the body longer than what the pattern calls for. So probably do another, just do another full pattern repeat. It looks like the pattern is 26 rows, if I remember correctly from when I did my swatch. So just do another 26 until the desired length. For me, I like 19 inches from my underarm to my waist. And so until it reaches probably 18 inches, and then do from there, because I know I'm going to have to do some cast on, some, maneuvering with the decreasing, and I wouldn't decrease too much as well. So I would do that. And then I haven't done I've only done one other bottom up pullover as well. And so I would love that challenge again, just to see what it's like, especially knitting back and forth as well. Color work, I've never done that. All the color work I've done has been in a round. I've never done it flat before, other than with the shawl. And with the shawl I'm doing, it's mosaic color work. It's not where I'm holding two yarns at the same time. So with all that said, it sounds, even hearing me say this, it sounds like I'm leaning towards frame. However, with the Paulie cardigan, one of the reasons why I am attracted to it is that I think it would be a phenomenal sweater to learn how to do a bottom up cardigan, because I have never done a bottom up cardigan. All of my cardigans have been top down, either starting with the collar or starting with the shoulder and then picking up sleeves, picking up for the front and then going on from there. So with that said, I think because I've only done petite knit and one other designer's cardigan before. Every other cardigan I've done, yeah, those are the only two I've done. So with that said, I definitely think it would be a great project or pattern to learn from. However, while I was again on Ravelry with no business looking at additional patterns, I couldn't help myself because it was on sale. I ended up buying the Stromboni cardigan. No, it's Stromboni pullover. It's like a summer tee slash I think early fall. And what drew me to this instantly was the fact that I could wear this in the fall and be comfortable, or early spring and summer, like especially if I picked the right yarn for it. And I just couldn't help it. I could not help it. I had to buy it and I wanted it, and I have no regret about it whatsoever. The issue is that I want to knit it now. And I can't, because I have other projects I need to do, and I'm hoping I don't get distracted, because again, should not have been on Ravelry, nor should I have been watching podcasts, because I got influenced. I went ahead and purchased the Love Letter. It's a summer top by Veronica Lindbergh, because I was watching this podcaster. She made a Love Letter. It came out gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning. And all I could think was like, I want it. I want that. And then I made myself pause before doing it. And then I saw another version of it. It was in black. I was like, oh my God, it looks just as good in black as it does in looking in red. And then that's one of the reasons why I made myself knit this. I was like, do it in red and black. Maybe that will help, calm me down. And I thought it was working. It really was working. Using this yarn, using this pattern had calmed me down and stopped me. It made me pause from buying the the pattern. But then I was watching Nora Knits, and she did the striped sweater, and she had reached out to Veronica Lindbergh to see if she would be willing to do some type of donation for her giveaway for her channel, because she had reached 10,000 subscribers. Veronica Lindbergh did a 50% off on all her patterns up until I think it was like August 7th when it ended. You didn't need to be a subscriber. You just had to use Nora, I believe Nora Knits, and you got the pattern discount. Well, I had to then. So I ended up buying the stripe hype sweater and the Love Letter, because I already owned many others I was interested in. Plus I already bought her book or whatnot too. I was like, dang it. So I'm looking at my tabs now. I have the Love Letter open, frame, Artus, Stromboli, is there. And then I went and bought another pattern, because this young woman, I've been following her on Instagram, as well as she was referenced in one of my other podcasts that's hosted by a Black host, Dr. Charlie Untangled. But she hasn't done as many episodes recently. I guess she's been super busy. But anywho, she had mentioned this one designer who's in, I want to say she's somewhere in Europe. I don't know what specific European country. But anyway, the designer, I think her name is Nabita Jarrett. I could be saying that incorrectly, so please forgive me. But the sweater is called the Delta sweater. And so it's just so cool. Like, I love it. It's not your conventional pullover as well. Here, I can show you a picture. What drew me to it was this. So that's the side of it. And I'm like, that's pretty. It's such a unique design. And I want to learn how to do that. I feel like I can learn so much by doing that particular pattern. So I went ahead and bought that. So in less than, and this was all on Wednesday, I think, by this point. So by the end of the day on Wednesday, I bought 4 patterns. Yeah, Delta, Love Letter, what is that? Stripe Hype, and Stromboli. Didn't mean to. totally by accident. Just accidentally went and watched some YouTube and accidentally saw the what's hot hair patterns. So those are some of my recent acquisitions. Long story short, but the recent acquisition that just came in the mail, which I wanted to open with you, and I'm not allowing myself to, because I told myself like when you finish it, then you can do it. So Sewralla, whenever she ships out packages to you, you always get this cute little box, and I've always been a fan of her yarn. I still have, oh my goodness, oh my Stromboli can go in this. Oh my goodness, that would be dope. But anyway, I'm sorry for the crinkling. This is Sewralla Yarn. I don't remember the name of the yarn. This was for Tony Lipsy's birthday, and she had did a partnership with Sewralla Yarns, and it went with her. Oh gosh, was it for her? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Crochet Academy. And so I think it was the first year she did Crochet Academy, and she had partnered with Sewralla Yarns. So this is one of the colorways that was with that. I had to buy it, and I wanted to do something out of my comfort zone, so I bought this color and I fell in love with it. I'm so glad. I crocheted this cute little top that ended up not fitting me properly. I just did not, I did the wrong size for the top. It just fell off the shoulders, and the purpose of the top was to be off the shoulders, but I cast on an extra large, and I should have went with like a medium or a large. And this is the reason why you should swatch sometimes, because sometimes it can help you eliminate that. But what I was able to do was to unravel the yarn without losing any of it, which I'm so grateful for. And now I have, this is almost 800 grams of yarn. It doesn't look it, but that's what the thing, or maybe it's 600. I might be exaggerating. Let me get my scale. But anywho, with this particular yarn, it is definitely something I could use in any given day. So let me see, how much is it? Looks like we have, here we go. We have 400 grams of yarn. So we have, I don't know where I got 800 from, but I have 800 grams of yarn that it's more than enough to do a little summer garment with as well. I just got to pick one. So this is going to be the Stromboli, maybe, we'll see. Or it can be what's in here. So the reason why I share that is that that's the last time, that was one of my Sewralla yarns. I have another set of Sewralla yarns I still have not done anything for, because it's for the scoop sweater. And in here, so when you open your package, you get this. You see, I love her packaging. It's so it definitely it lures you in. So you get a little postcard thanking you. And for my package, I ordered some tea. Oops, let me turn it this way. Some tea. I love Earl Grey. I just realized that it didn't come with, I didn't buy the strainer. I just remembered that I wanted to buy the strainer, but that's okay. I know what I can do. I have something I can make with this, but I'm really excited about that. This is Earl Grey creme, sorry. It's black tea, orange peel, and some type of flavoring. So I definitely look forward to trying that, because I'm a big tea person. I bought the hand cream again. I bought this last year, loved it, and loved it so much I ended up keeping the container and just putting in some of my extra Jergens in it. So let's see, what scent did I get this time? And she has the whole packaging. Oh wow, that is nice. That is better than what I thought. It smells almost like a cocoa butter. Which one is this? Did I get again? Oh gosh, I don't know which one this was, but this definitely has like a cocoa butter. Oh, it's Staycation. It's coconut cream and sandalwood. Yeah, this was dope. I'm gonna definitely buy this again. That was really nice. Wow, that was really nice. That smells good. I'm gonna put that on my hands later. I also got some yarn because I needed more yarn, right? Oh, this is so pretty. So again, I'm so sorry for the crinkling, but I wanted to unveil this with you. So this yarn, as you can see, this is a sock yarn. This is 50 grams. It's 80% superwash, 200 yards. And so I figured I could definitely do some ankle socks with this. is, oh my gosh, it's so, her yarn is amazing, so nice. I don't want to use it. But what's the point of buying it? But this color is called Endless Summer Hydrangea. So I definitely am going to cast on a pair of socks with this. Probably something out of my summer lead book. I can definitely see this. So very, very glad I selected that color. And so glad I changed my mind and got this color. So I initially was going to get the teak. Um, the teak is this, it was like this brownish, brick red, brownish color. And I realized I already had a version of that, very similar in color from Neighborhood Fiber. So that's one of the reasons why I decided I had to get that. And I reached out to her to see if I can switch because I saw that this was there because I mentioned I've been in these like bright color moods. And I figured that this would be really perfect for like a figuring weight sweater because this is, although this is a silk sock, it has a, you can use 2.75 because it's considered one fine. So I think this will be great for a fingering weight sweater. It's 50% superwash merino and 50% silk. Like, come on, you get 438 yards, and so I figured with 3 skeins that should be enough to make a sweater. So I was thinking about, oh my god, this smells like the lotion. But I was thinking about making the freestyle sweater with it. It calls for a little over 800 yards, but it's more of a crop length, and so I'm like, for the size I want to do. So I think this will be the one. Oh my god, this is so amazing. This looks absolutely stunning. This looks better than what I thought. And I initially wasn't going to look at it. I told myself, like, no, you can't look at it until you finish some more projects because you're going to get ideas, and ideas are there. And what frustrates me so much is I already have this woman's yarn. Now I have 3 sweater quantities of this woman's yarn. And I haven't done anything yet with it. Here's another one. This is her cashmere sock, where it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon for 435 yards. As you can see, it's just sitting here in my stash because I wanted to make the scoop sweater with it because I have this hank and I have the pink, and this was going to be my contrasting color. But I still haven't cast on with it. And I have 3 skeins of this, which is more than enough to make that particular sweater. But I haven't cast on. You already saw the other one, and now I just added more to the collection. But I will make the time for it. What I really am excited about is that if I don't make the scoop sweater, because my concern is about the sleeve length, and I usually make my sleeves longer than what the pattern calls for, which means I would need more yardage. I should have enough in there just in case I have some other like supplement yarns I can potentially do. Sorry, I was talking away from the camera, but we'll see. We'll see which one I'll end up doing. But wow, this was such a beautiful, beautiful surprise. And I can't wait. I want to make a pull-up. It will. Oh my gosh, this is going to look good on my skin tone. Oh, son of a biscuit. I got to stay focused. This is the problem. Between the yarn and the patterns, they get me caught up, and then I end up buying more of it, and then I'm still going to Rhinebeck, and you know I'm going to buy yarn there, because who's going to travel all the way down to Rhinebeck and not buy yarn? Not this girl. I already started budgeting for that. I have to make a pair of socks with this. Like, this is just a duh moment. I now want to hurry up and finish my cable socks so I can cast on for this one. So let me just go ahead and put that over there. I got my tea. So that's all my acquisitions. Patterns, more yarn, and I am hopeful that I will be able to share finish objects with you next time I do my video. My hope is to have the Artus shawl finish and to have the Camisole finish in my socks before I come back on this camera. Fingers crossed. I am off all next week. I am doing something I have never done before. I'm not going to check a work email. I'm not going to go to any meeting. I do have one standing meeting that I have to go to. My publisher. That's it. I'm going to go to that meeting and do that for the 1 hour we are there, and I'm not going to work on anything else. I really am just going to do nothing in my brain, a little bit of break, because I have been working been working part time since then as well, and it's starting to take a little bit of a toll. And as much fun as I've had so much fun meeting and talking to the teachers and teaching them about APF, and so much to the point where I can see myself doing this full time. It's been incredible. However, I also need to take the Ravelry and get myself prepared to teach my own. Just oh God, 3 weeks. My semester starts, so I need to get my life together so I can do that. On top of that, I got to take care of myself. Make sure I'm engaging in more than just an hour or two of self care. I need to do better. So this upcoming week, the week of the 12th, I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to relax. I'm going to enjoy my home and hang out with my family. And I have jury duty, which I'm really excited about. I know this sounds crazy, but it is what it is. I can't wait. I hope I get picked. I really, really do. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to try to taper it down, but oh my God, if I get picked for jury duty, how amazing would that be? I don't know why. I don't know why I want jury duty so bad, but I'm that weird person. Because I went to law school. I don't know if that's the reason why. I think that's a little bit of it. And I watch a lot of courtroom movies and movie shows, and done mock trial, and so that maybe that's part of it as well. I'm very fascinated by the legal system and the mechanics of it. Because I don't want to be offending anyone on this channel, so that's why I want to wrap this up so I don't say come out my mouth and everything. But one thing I do want to say is thank you so much for staying with me and listening to me ramble on about my current projects as well as my most recent acquisitions. So just to recap, this is what I do as a teacher. Just to recap, I am doing the final touches to my whole console. I am going to pick it up a notch with my Seafarer Socks now that I have recently opened socks of beautiful yarn from Sewralla, and I am going to finish my shawl this week. I am not going to work on it anymore. And once I have all those objects done, my next relax, release knit will be the Jawall shorts. I'm just going to keep working on those even though the summer is coming towards an end. It was still be a great project to have in my collection when I am wearing my summer knits next year. And then I am also hopeful to cast on my next pattern. So it either be the Paulie cardigan or possibly focusing on the Arctic light or the marine vest / pullover. I might end up doing one of those or all three. I mean, there's a possibility I might be all three. So Chelsea, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all are doing